everybody. Welcome again to Disability Landscape. We're continuing our conversation here with Mr. Paul Pranghofer, world traveler and gadabout. And we want to talk this time, well, let's remind our viewers the places you've been and the reason you go. And then we're going to talk about how dealing with some of these kids has affected you and maybe even changed their lives to the better.
Yes.
So let's first go into the places you've been.
Okay. I've been to Slovakia in Eastern Europe 5 times. I've been to the country of Haiti 10 times and the country of Liberia twice. And this has all been over about the last 25 years.
Okay. Well, it's 20, that's 17 trips. That's enough.
That's a lot.
And one thing we didn't touch on, in Liberia, what were the activities you got involved with the kids there?
Well, you know, it wasn't so much activities with the kids as it was one of the purposes that we went down there on the first trip was to help to try to repair a roof on a school in the girls' dorm.
Okay.
They were in bad shape. We raised enough money that all the materials got paid for.
Okay.
And the plan was initially for our team to actually tear off the old roof and put the new roofs on those 2 buildings.
Okay.
Well, our team got up, looked at the roof, and the next thing we know, we were hiring the locals to do it. It would have been way too dangerous.
Well, okay.
So that was the biggest reason we went the
Okay.
the first time I went to Liberia. It was also to reconnect with these folks. About 2 years before I went to Liberia the first time, the couple I talked about earlier that go to our church got a frantic phone call from the head of this Mission of Hope.
Okay.
They were literally starving to death. They had no money to buy food.
Oh my.
And they had called Prince and Agnes to see if there was any way that they could send some money so they could buy food. Well, they went. Prince and Agnes went to our church, Open Door, and Open Door helped provide money to for them to start buying food, so that they would be able to eat. Right now, the people that live there, they get 2 meals a day.
Okay.
And some of the food actually comes from a local nonprofit here called, I'm not going to come up with the name, Feed My Starving Children.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Very,
so they do get some
familiar.
food from them. And so that first trip that the people went down to Liberia, I didn't go on the first trip because I didn't know what it was going to be like or accessibility or whatever. Sure. And my friend Paul did go on that trip, and he came back and said, Paul, it's possible, but it will be challenging. And I decided to give it a shot, and I'm really glad I did.
Okay. And so the first time you there, they were there to try and do the roof.
Yes.
So you were brought in as the foreman?
No, I stayed away from it. I don't know anything about construction. What I got to do that first trip is there's also a school there that some of the local kids that live in that area come to that school.
Okay.
And they had me take a day, and I went and talked to every classroom at the school.
Wow.
And demonstrated how I could do things with my feet. And one of the things that they all loved is I'm able to hold a Frisbee in my toes and throw it. And they thought that was the greatest thing in the world, to be able to see me throw a Frisbee and throw it back to them. And so part of my purpose there was to try to help educate the kids in the school that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you don't have any skills or anything to offer.
Okay. Okay. Now, we've had added in the library information. Through your 17 trips, you've had to connect with children in these different locales. what kind of just stories or outcomes did you have from those?
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to talk about Haiti first because
Okay.
there's some real emotional connections there for me.
Okay.
I got to know the 4 or 5 oldest boys at the Mafia Chef House really well, and we really connected. And even though we couldn't talk, and one of my favorite people was Junior. Junior was one of the oldest boys. He had severe CP, but he could walk, and his hands were not very functional.
Okay.
Well, all Junior ever wanted to do in his life, he wanted to go to school.
Sure.
And they wouldn't let him go to school because he couldn't write. And one of the trips, he saw me using my left foot and writing. And the next time I went back, he was so excited when I got there. The first thing he did is he wanted me to follow him, and so I did. And we went into a kitchen area,
Okay.
and he sat down with a piece of paper on the floor and showed me how he had taught himself how to write with his foot. And because of that, he got to go to school.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
Okay, that is very cool.
One of my hardest experiences in Haiti happened at the Mother Teresa Hospital.
Okay.
The hospital was very devastated by the earthquake, the old buildings, so they built a brand new facility, and it was all on one floor, which meant I could go anywhere I wanted to in the facility.
As opposed to the previous one with all the stairs.
Yes, and
Okay.
so one, I don't know how, me and one of our team members, one day we decided, you know what, when we go today, let's see who can change a diaper on a baby with their feet. Well, I can tell you, getting the diaper off was really easy.
Putting a new one on?
Almost impossible. I didn't realize how much they wiggle around. But
Yeah, they seldom lie still.
that's correct. I think my most meaningful experience also happened at the Mother Teresa's Hospital.
Okay.
I think it was trip 9 when I was there. We were at the Mother Teresa's Hospital, and this little baby got brought in. And from what I understand, she was 5 months old,
Okay.
and she looked about the size of a newborn.
Oh, wow.
Because her mother was so malnutritioned, she produced no milk.
So she couldn't feed her own baby.
She couldn't even feed her own baby. And they brought the baby in, and she was just tiny, and just when she cried, it was like, oh my gosh, it was just this little squeak.
Oh, man.
And the sisters were able to get an IV in her to try to start giving her fluids to see if they could stabilize her. And it was so cool because they had her sitting in a little bassinet that was set up a little ways, and I sat there and thought, now what can I do for her? And I was able to get my left foot up by that bassinet, and I rocked her for 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Back and forth, just really, really, really gently.
And just to help calm her?
Yep. And I was really wondering what was going to happen with her. And we went back the next day, and I found out that she passed
Oh, that's so...
10 minutes after we left.
Oh,
It was time for us to leave, and I just felt bad that, why couldn't I have been there for her when she passed?
yeah.
And yet somebody else pointed out to me from our group, said, but you might have, just by rocking her for those 2.5 hours, you may have brought some joy to her in her last minutes on earth. That's probably the most impactful thing that ever happened to me in Haiti. It has left, it still affects me today when I think about it. Normally, Charlie, at this point, my glasses are off and I'm bawling like a kid.
Well,
But,
I'm getting a little misted over here, so...
But with some of the kids back at the Mafi B'Shev house, Junior and I became very good friends. Every time I would go there, when he knew I was coming, he'd be waiting for me to get there.
Oh, that's very cool.
And as time went on, the last few trips that I went to Haiti, their airport got improved after the earthquake. And they actually had jetways now to get onto the plane, so I didn't have to go up and down the steps anymore.
That's a big plus.
Yeah. But Haiti's still in my heart. I really feel bad about the situation there now. Some of the kids that I knew from the Mafi B'Shev house aren't there anymore because their parents came and got them because Port-au-Prince got so dangerous to be in. Right now we're up to about 35 kids. I think they're down to about 20 right now.
Okay.
And Junior's mom and dad came and got him to take him back up to the village where he lived.
Okay. So unfortunately, you probably don't know what his situation is these days.
Yeah, I don't, because I don't have a good way to know what's going on down there anymore.
Right.
When Dio and Leonette were down there, you'd always could email Dio or text them, and they would always get back to you and tell you what was going on.
Okay.
Pastor Dio has lived up in Atlanta now for the last 2.5 years because it's so dangerous
In Port-au-Prince.
Port-au-Prince.
Okay.
The gangs actually put a bounty out on his head.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, you connected with Junior,
Yep.
and and other kids there.
Yes.
Are there any other story? I mean, Junior sounds like a great success.
Oh, just wonderful success.
And from watching you being able to write with your foot, to learning himself, it gives him the opportunity.
Well, one of the things that happened after my first visit to the Mafi B'Shev house is Madame Dio had never experienced a disabled person that could do as much as I could do for myself, and use my feet and just get involved with everything that was going on. And after my first visit there, I guess what I was told is Madame Dio started making the other kids try to be more independent and do things for themselves instead of depending on staff to do everything for them.
Well, and I think that's important because we only get better by doing for ourselves.
Oh, definitely.
And to learn, despite what our disabilities are, that we can do things that we didn't think we could do.
Yeah. And two of the kids, one of them's name is Dadu. Little boy, when I first went there, he was probably only 7 or 8 years old. And while I was there, Dadu decided to grab the back of my wheelchair and pull himself up. And I thought, well, what's going to happen if I move ahead really, really slow? So I started moving ahead, and he, for the first time that anybody ever saw, he started taking some steps.
And he was disabled then?
Yes.
What was his disability?
I believe he had CP.
Okay.
I'm not sure with him for sure.
Okay.
And the next time I went, he was walking around without holding on to anything or having to have any help. And it was just wonderful to see it. And I always wondered in the back of my mind, because of what I did with him when he was so young, did that make a difference for him being able to walk?
It's very possible. It's very possible because they have to be encouraged.
Another young man that really impacted me there was Winston. Winston, I would have loved to have gotten Winston to the United States because he would have just flourished up here. This kid was so athletic. His legs didn't work, but Charlie, he walked on his hands everywhere. You know a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
And he was very, very athletic. I mean, extremely athletic. Well, unfortunately, Winston got himself in some trouble at the Mafi B'Shev house, and they had to send him home. And he lived in Port-au-Prince with his mother.
Okay.
So when we would go there, we would see him once in a while. And unfortunately, after he left the Mafia Chef house, the way he survived was to beg for things.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, last year, a couple of years ago, when the Paralympics was going on, to my surprise, during the opening ceremony, here comes in one athlete from Haiti at the Paralympics, and it was Winston.
Oh.
He had made it to the Paralympics, which means someone there in Haiti got to him and really changed the course of his life. It was so excited to see. I was just
Ecstatic for him.
yes, very much so,
And-
very much so.
Because, yeah, that sounds like a tremendous turnaround for
Oh,
you.
it was. I think it changed his life. It absolutely changed his life. And you know, down in Haiti shares the island with the Dominican Republic. They don't always get along real well.
Right.
But the Dominican Paralympic team actually paid Winston's way to go to the Paralympics.
Well, that's the power of the Olympic.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
the camaraderie.
Yep, exactly. In Liberia, one of the things, again, now this, I worked with one of the people there, the last trip I went to Liberia, one of the residents, saw me writing with my foot, and took me aside and said, "Can you teach me how to do that so I can write with my foot?" And I worked with him 2, 3, 4 times during the time we were there. And unfortunately, I haven't been back to Liberia,
Right.
so I don't know what became of it.
Oh.
And I don't know if I will make it back there. We have a group that's going in January. Part of my disability is I overheat really easy.
Right.
And the last time I was in Liberia, we were there in February, which is supposed to be the coolest time of their year. Well, the heat, it was in the 90s every day, sunny, and the heat indices were around 110, because they have very high humidity also.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like North Africa, correct?
You got it. You got
Okay.
it. Well, no, it's really more Central Africa.
Central Africa.
Yeah, they're
okay.
almost on the equator.
Okay. So yeah, winter there just doesn't exist. Like
No, not like here.
Not like here.
like here.
No. There is not a shovel to be found.
Oh, you got it. Oh, on the second trip to Liberia, one of the things also we did is the girls' dorm needed to be repainted.
Okay.
And so one of our jobs was going to be to help repaint the inside of the girls' dorm. And one of our team members, can't think of the little girl's name now, but I won't come up with it, but she has CP,
Okay.
and she wanted to help paint.
Okay.
And one of our team members sat just patiently with her for 2 hours, helping her dip the paintbrush in the paint,
Okay.
and helping her reach out and paint a wall.
Oh, very cool.
And we let all of the residents that wanted to help, which meant us Americans got to sit on the side and watch a lot. They also repainted the outside of the building,
Okay.
and that's where we concentrated most of our
Right.
time, was painting on the outside of the building.
But
Oh, the
I
little
suppose
girl's
for
name,
her-
little
Yep.
girl's name is Angel.
Angel.
Yes.
And she probably got a sense of fulfillment from being able
Oh,
to help.
yes. She was so proud. The smile on her face just made it worth so while.
That is cool. So you get to see this in these kids. Well, in Haiti, you saw Junior's growth, and you see these other, children. That's got to instill something in you.
Oh, it just,
I mean, it's kind of like being separated from if you had your own child.
Yep.
And watching their growth.
Yep. Well, I always considered the kids at the Mafia Chef house my family, all of them. And to see like a Winston do what he did, watch some of the growth in some of the other children that lived at the Mafia Chef house as they got a little older and a little older, and especially when some of them were allowed to go to school.
Okay.
and the difference it made in their lives. You know, are they going to be able to go out and get a job and do everything else that I think a disabled person in this country could do? No. It's not set up to do it. It's just not there.
But it gives them a feeling of their own independence.
Yes, exactly. In Liberia, 4 of the people that live at Mission of Hope now own their own businesses.
Okay.
One of the people owns his own, I believe it's a printing business.
Okay.
And there was a building at the facility there that wasn't being used, and they kind of renovated it, and he now runs his printing business out of that building.
Okay.
Another person runs a little hair salon out of that same building.
Okay.
Another one of the individuals does crafts,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember what the 4th one was. And one of the things that we've done or helped do in with the facility there is we helped set up a sewing school for the people.
Okay.
And so we had our first graduating class earlier, I think it was in January. They went for a year and learned how to sew, and with the idea that they could make some of their own clothes then,
Sure.
and that they could make other clothes and sell them to help make money.
Sure. Okay. That's very cool.
Yep. Yes.
So they're getting education and
Yes.
to be practical and whatnot.
Yes. Again, you know, Liberia, they look at individuals with disabilities as, I hate to use the word throwaway, but that's what it feels like.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of small developing countries that have that attitude.
Yep, definitely. You see the same thing in Haiti.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, the Slovakia days.
Yes.
Now, you were working with basically able-bodied children.
Yep, there were no disabled kids involved. It was all able-bodied kids.
And so you're teaching them to play baseball.
Yes, so can you imagine a guy with no arms and a short leg teaching a kid how to hold a baseball bat?
Yeah. Now, granted, I've seen you hold a baseball bat, but I don't think you want the kids holding them like that.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And Tom always said, Paul, you're so brave. I said, what do you mean? Those kids could easily swing that bat and hit you right in the head, but you're right in there instructing them, telling them how to do it. And I love doing it. I love teaching them.
Okay. And with the language barrier, you had interpreters there to help out?
Yes,
and
yes,
so, okay.
yes, exactly, Charlie, exactly.
Okay. Now, I want to touch on just one last thing here. Your lovely wife, Maureen.
Yes.
When you first proposed to her about doing this kind of travel, what was her reaction?
She was really excited for me because she knew that in my heart I really wanted to go on mission trips. And I don't know what got me so interested in it, but it just felt like it was part of my DNA to want to go and share with other people, be able to teach other people about disabilities, and that just because you have a disability doesn't mean that you can't be productive. Tom, this last trip to Slovakia, the last night that we were there, we had dinner at the hotel where we were staying, and Tom and his wife Debbie went around and said a couple words about each one of us on the team.
Okay.
And Tom looked at me and he said, I only got one word for you, Paul. And he said, courageous. And you know, I was kind of taken back by that. And I had to let that sink in for a while to really understand what he meant about that. And as I was able to think about it and work it through in my own mind, he was right. I went to a baseball camp this year not knowing what the facilities were going to be like. Could I even get around in the building in a wheelchair? Could I participate in everything else that was going on, being in a wheelchair? Because there were at the camp itself, it was either on gravel or grass or weeds.
Sure.
And so my team members from the U.S. were just great. They got me everywhere I needed to be all the time.
Okay. On your last trip, before coming home, you were talked into something that none of us that have known you for any length of time thought you would do.
Yes.
What was that?
Yes. We had a couple days after camp got done just to be tourists in Bratislava and Vienna.
Okay.
And so on that Monday, about a group of 5 or 6 people in our group of 8 wanted to get tattoos. So I decided, I'm going to go along. I want to see how this is done. I've never seen a tattoo done on somebody.
Sure.
And so I went with the group, and I was expecting we were going to go down this dark alley and go into this dingily lit building that was dirty and
Yep.
whatever. But we got to the place, and to my surprise, the gentleman that owns it and is the tattoo artist has won awards all over the world.
Okay.
He is renowned. He's renowned for doing tattoos.
Okay.
So I watched people do their tattoos. They were kind of needling me, Paul, you should get one. You should get one. And I kind of, nah. And the way I put it, Charlie, is God kind of slapped me upside the head and said, you're going to get a tattoo. And this is exactly what it's going to say. And what my tattoo said is, because Jesus, you are the voice of truth. And it's from a song by a group called Casting Crowns. It's the last line of the song that has been my kind of go-to song and my support song all my life.
Okay.
So now right over my heart, that's what it says.
Yeah. No, when you told us, we were all quite surprised, but
Well-
given the meaning of it, it fits you to a T.
So Maureen, I texted Maureen and said, well, we went to a tattoo parlor today, and I got to watch all these people get tattoos. And within 5 minutes, I got a text back. You got one, didn't you?
But through all these years that you've done these trips, Maureen has been greatly supportive.
She's always supported me on these trips. It's become more challenging for the two of us when I go on the trips.
Right.
When I went in the early days, Maureen could be at home alone for a week or so, and there wouldn't be any issues.
Right.
Now, we always try to find people to stay with her while I'm gone, so in case she has any problems that she can't handle, they can help out with.
Okay. I got to say thank you once again. The stories are great. It sounds like you've touched a lot of kids in your travels. And the last question, how much longer will you do it?
Wow, that's a really good question. When Slovakia happened, it wasn't even on my radar screen to go do that this year.
Okay.
I'm going to be 70 in October, and things aren't as easy to do as they used to be.
Sure.
But I'll see what God has to say about it. If He says He wants me to go again somewhere, I'll go.
Sounds like a plan. This is Charlie Bros with Mr. Paul Pranghofer. You've been watching Disability Landscape. We'll see you next time.